What are you at? It's Paul from Wicked Acorn. Did you know that today in history carbon paper was invented? I prepared a video to watch about the invention of carbon paper, and we might look at that if we have time. But something else popped up that I'd completely forgotten about, and that's what we're going to watch today. But let's get through some moments in history besides carbon paper. There's a few things that happened today in history, a lot of them around the American Revolution that all happened on the same day, but not on the same year. Interesting. So, our Where Is It photo from the last live stream, we'll get to in a moment, but I'll leave it just for a second so you can have a look at it. And we'll all get a sip of tea in our Brew Crew mug. Mine's a I Love Didsbury. I keep telling you, I get the reject mugs, but you can get all different sorts. There's all kinds of different B ones, and you can get your name put on them and stuff, or whatever sentiment you want. But they're a mosaic I made of the Manchester Bee, and I can't wait for the town hall to open and get in and see the actual bee mosaic in the floor of the Manchester town hall. I've never seen it with my own eyes. When we first moved here, they were just wrapping the town hall up to do the renovations, and it was supposed to be a 5-year renovation, and it's turned into like 9 years now. And when we first moved here, I can't remember. There was something on the go, and I didn't have time to go in and see it before. We were just moving countries, so there was a lot of things on our plate besides going in and looking at the town hall. And I said to myself, 5 years will go by like that, and so it has. But now it's going on 9 years, and it's still not open. So hopefully that'll be open soon. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got to be careful with these emojis because I don't know what any of them mean. I just choose them at random. That might mean something rude or lewd. I don't know. But I don't know. I just pick whatever. So, anybody have any idea where this photo is? We'll come back to it. Or where is it for the next live stream? Now, this should look familiar, and someone should be able to tell me where this is. Anyway, I'll show you it again before we leave this evening. The 7th of October. I've got to get a Halloween video ready. And do I have those things here? I don't know where I hid them. I hid them somewhere, but I got a great Halloween video coming up. I don't know where I hid them. But remember back last week, a couple of weeks ago, I was telling you we were going on an adventure before my daughter went off to university. Well, there's a Halloween video coming up related to the adventure we went on for her little going away party. So I'll give you some clues to it tomorrow, I guess, if I remember where those things are. So on this day in history, October 7th, 1714, a riot occurred in Alkmaar, I don't know how to pronounce that place, in the Netherlands, triggered by a new beer tax. This event highlights public discontent over taxation on a staple commodity in the Dutch Republic at the time. So yeah, there was there was a lot of outrage over the new beer tax in 1714. On October 7th, 1763, King George III, that's the American Revolution king, issued the Royal Proclamation of 1763, a decree following the 7 Years' War that closed lands north and west of the Appalachian Mountains to colonial settlement. The proclamation designated this territory as Indian Territory under the protection of the Crown and intended to prevent conflict with the First Nations people and maintain control over westward expansion. That didn't work out too well after the British left. That's not to say that it wouldn't have worked out the same way if the British had won, but it didn't work out too well for the First Nations people. While the proclamation aimed to manage relations and protect the fur trade, it angered land-hungry colonialists and contributed to the growing tensions that would lead to the American Revolution. So that was 1763 on October 7th. On October 7th, 1765, the Stamp Act came into being. And we talked about all these things before. Stamp Act Congress. It was the first Congress of it's not the day the Stamp Act came in, but it's the first Congress of the American colonies convenes in New York to devise a unified protest against new British taxation. Because they were all separate states. They were like separate countries, all the different states, the 13 colonies before the American Revolution. They were like separate countries before them. And they joined together to get representation for their taxation and started a war over it. And that was 1765. On October 7th, 1777, the Americans defeat the British in the Second Battle of Saratoga and the Battle of Bemis Heights. Also known as Bemis Heights, was fought on October 7, 1777, resulting in a decisive American victory over the British. The American victory forced a British surrender just 10 days later and is widely regarded as the turning point of the Revolutionary War. And on October 7th, 1780, American Patriot militia decisively defeated British Loyalist militia led by Major Patrick Ferguson at the Battle of Kings Mountain in a pivotal engagement of the American Revolution. The Southern Campaign. The battle took place on a strategic ridge straddling the North and South Carolina border and resulted in a significant turning point for the Patriots, forcing a halt to the British advance and leading to a vital shift in momentum in the Southern theater. So these are all things that I've been exposed to because we live right next door to the United States, and we had American television. So I learned all this stuff, and I enjoyed learning it. I really like American history. It's a fascinating history, and it's what got me into history was the American Civil War. That's what really got my interest in history going, and it's interesting because the connection to here with the cotton famine, and as I was telling you, the carbon paper, 1806, was, we say patented, you say patented, I guess, do you? Is that right? Patented? I say patented. In London by inventor Ralph Wedgwood. And yeah, that's the same Wedgwood. The Wedgwood, he wasn't the Wedgwood, but he was of the Wedgwood family. Like he was the third son or whatever. And it kind of makes sense with their, transferring images onto porcelain or ceramics, whatever it was. So yes, carbon paper was invented on this day in history in 1806. And if we have time, I'll show that video. It's only a couple of minutes. But where is it? This is what we're going to look at today. This day in history video that I'd completely forgotten about. And it really pissed me off. And it pissed me off again last night when I realized this. So, well, not really this, but you'll see in a second. So it is Kevin Godley's birthday today. Kevin Godley, born on this day in 1945. And he is an English rock drummer, vocalist, producer, 10cc, I'm Not in Love, The Things We Do for Love, Godley and Cream, Cry, and music video director, born in Manchester, England. So we're going to watch a video. The photo, of course, the Where Is It photo, is Stockport. And we're going to look at a video I did several years ago about Strawberry Studios in Stockport, which is where 10cc did all their recording. And it really pissed me off, this video. I've been going on about copyright and all this copyright nonsense you've heard me go on about. And this video got a copyright claim. It has the song I'm Not in Love in it. It's a karaoke version I found that I downloaded. A karaoke version, so there's no lyrics, there's no melody, but it's a karaoke version of the song. So you would think, and fair enough, there would be a copyright claim on the 10cc song in the video. And I would have been okay with that. But no, it's not. It wasn't. There never has been a copyright claim by 10cc on this video. There was a copyright claim from another song I used in the video. You won't see it in this because I searched and searched and searched for the drive that I had the original file stored on, and I'm going to re-edit the video. I've done a little bit of re-editing on it, but I'm going to re-release it. The song Lowrider by Wore got a copyright claim on it. So anyway, what can I say? They own it, so you can't read. And it's not even the it's not what's the group's name? I can't remember the group's name. Lowrider. The band's name is Wore. Lowrider, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't even the guys from Wore that did the copyright claim. It's horrible. Anyway, I keep going on about this, and there's not much we can do about it. So I've exchanged the song in this video we're going to watch now. So you won't hear Lowrider in this version. So let's have a look at a little birthday wish to Kevin Godley. Happy birthday, Kevin. All right, let's see. Let's switch there. Oh, got to turn that off. Forgot to turn that off. YouTube. There we go. So yeah, the photo is some hardware store in Stockport. And of course, this is Stockport. And that's where our video takes place today, in Stockport. At the beginning of the video, I say, you know, what's he out doing gallivanting around? And it was when lockdown was on the go. It was kind of easing up, I think. I can't remember, but you were allowed out for an hour a day or something. And I was delivering one of the Manchester Bee mosaics to somebody in Stockport. Anyway, let's get in and have a look.
Hi, it's Paul from Wicked Acorn. We're here in Stockport. I know what you're thinking. What's he doing out gallivanting around? Well, I'm not. I'm here to deliver one of my Manchester Bee mosaics. Now I know what you're thinking. Stockport is not in Manchester. Well, where I come from, you'd have to get in a canoe to cross the river to get to the next town. Where I come from, you'd have to get on your pony and ride out to the railway tracks so you could argue over which side's the wrong side of the tracks. Where I come from, you'd have to make sure your gas tank is full because it's 100 miles to the next gas station. Oh, by the way, I came from Sale.
So at the time, I posted this on one of the Manchester Facebook groups, and some lady got really upset because this wasn't a video about Stockport, about Manchester. And it's like, geez, lady. Anyway, we all know what Facebook is like, right?
I'll leave a link in the description.
It's almost the same as the
I forgot to turn these off. I don't think I can now. It was the American bicentennial year, 1976, and to a young boy growing up in Canada, watching it on television, it was the most boring birthday party you'd ever seen. The most entertaining bits were the commercials, the adverts. KTEL presents Blockbuster, 20 original hits, 20 original stars, KC and the Sunshine Band. Silver Convention. War. Blockbuster, a new album from KTEL, 20 original hits, 20 original stars. Get it now, $5.99 LP, $6.99 tape. Problem was, so this was the Lowrider song by Wore underneath here. I've replaced it with a different song. Problem was, we didn't have a record store where I could just go and pick it up. We had to order it in. When it came in, it didn't look right. That's not the album I ordered. These aren't the right songs. Wait a minute. Who knew? The Canadian version of KTEL albums had different songs. Well, it was still pretty cool. Track number 3, side 1, my favorite, Low Rider by Wore. After that, there was this really strange song by a band called 10cc. I'd never heard of 10cc. I certainly hadn't heard of Stockport or Strawberry Studios. Little did I know, many years later, it would only be a few hours' walk away from my new home.
And this is Strawberry Studios, a boyhood dream I didn't know I had come true.
Who knew what lay ahead in 1976?
Elvis would be with us for another year, and John Lennon had one last album to release after his 4-year hiatus he had just started. Now, the song in question here was actually released the year before, but as you remember, it takes a while for a hit song to show up on a K-Tel record. And hit it was. I'm Not in Love went to #1 in Canada. It was the big breakthrough hit for 10cc. These guys were part of the soundtrack of my life, and this song in particular made an impact on me. It was probably the first time I realized he doesn't mean what he's saying. He means something else. It was an aha moment. Hey, it's not Shakespearean or anything, but I was just a kid, and this was the era of trucker songs and disco. A lot of great names.
So I'm assuming you guys had K-Tel records here. You must have had K-Tel records here. And talk about copyright law, it just occurred to me that back, if you remember K-Tel records, they were always like truncated versions of the songs. They were shortened and they would like clip out a verse. And there's actually a clause in copyright law called the K-Tel clause. And it was a clause in copyright law to allow them to do this, to chop the songs up and make them shorter and re-release them. Interesting, the K-Tel clause.
Era of trucker songs and disco. A lot of great names in music have gone through these doors, including Sir Paul McCartney. In a few years, the Beatles would be my favorite band, and I would be anxiously awaiting to hear Sgt. Pepper for the first time. When I did, I was a little underwhelmed. It was lauded as the greatest record of all time, with the best production ever. Now, it is full of great music, but by the time I heard it, I'd already heard songs like I'm Not in Love, with its tape loop backing track. This was the groundbreaking sound of my generation.
So this is a true story. We didn't have a record store. It was much later that record stores showed up. You could get records at Woolworths. Don't think they had K-Tel records. So all of this really happened, and I remember me and a couple of friends of mine, we formed a little band, and we were really into the Beatles. And that was the year that John Lennon was shot, in 1980. And so 4 years after the Blockbuster album. And of course, when Lennon was shot, they re-released all the Beatles stuff so you could get all the albums. It was really difficult to get Beatle albums back in the late 70s. Really difficult because, like they had the Blue album and the Red album, their greatest hits of the Beatles. But it was really difficult to get your hands on actual Beatle albums like Rubber Soul and Sgt. Pepper and stuff like that. And my buddy got a cut. This is pre-1980. My buddy got a copy of Sgt. Pepper. And I remember listening to it and being kind of disappointed. It didn't really strike me as the best album ever recorded. I did enjoy it, as I said, but it certainly wasn't my favorite Beatle album. Never has been my favorite Beatle album. I go through different periods of favorite Beatle album. The White Album has probably been my favorite the most times. White Album, Revolver, Rubber Soul, Abbey Road, I'll go through periods of listening to different ones over and over. But anyway, Sgt. Pepper has never been a favorite of mine.
This was the groundbreaking sound of my generation. Some songs you just had to be there. And for I'm Not in Love, I was there. The facility was a
And just listening to the karaoke in the background there, the I'm Not in Love karaoke in the background there. So what they did was they, oh yes, that is big news about Rush. Yes, I haven't looked into it yet. I don't know that drummer. I'll have to check that out. Um, the what they did was they did a tape loop of their voices. So they went in and sang the notes, and then they sang them again and sang them again. They had this massive tape loop, and they had them on faders, if you know anything about recording. They had them on faders that they could bring in and out different notes, and it was a big chorus of each note. And if you listen closely, listen to the all the big chorus of sound behind them. Billy Joel did exactly the same thing moments later. Uh, I don't know if it was inspired by 10cc, but it was after 10cc. I think it was the same year. Um, what's the song? Don't go changing. I love you just the way you are. Um, it has that same effect done the same way. All this stuff's very easy nowadays to do, but back then you had to do it all by hand, so to speak.
called Intercity Studios and was located above a music store in the town center. In early 1968, it was bought by Peter Tattersall, a former road manager for Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas. Tattersall invited Eric Stewart, then lead guitarist and singer of the Mindbenders and later a member of 10cc, to join him as a partner in July 1968. The pair moved to the larger premises at number 3 Waterloo Road in October. Stewart chose the studio's name in honor of his favorite Beatles song, Strawberry Fields Forever. Within months, songwriter and future 10cc member Graham Gouldman joined the pair. The studio was used extensively by Stewart, Gouldman, and the other two musicians who would join them to form 10cc, Lol Cream and Kevin Godley. In a 1976 interview, Stewart described the studio's early days. It was a very tiny studio with some stereo equipment and the walls lined with egg boxes to provide some sound insulation. There was a makeshift sort of control desk tied together with sellotape and string, but it was good enough for what I wanted to do, and it was the only studio near Manchester. What I wanted to do was to make some demos of some songs I'd written, put them down myself, and then try to sell them. At that time, I was infected with the idea of becoming a recording engineer and building a studio where I could develop my own ideas as to what a studio should be like. Gouldman was equally enthusiastic. Ever since I started songwriting, I'd always wanted to have a studio of my own to work in and to make my own demos. We used to tell ourselves that one day the Beatles would record there, and eventually Paul McCartney did. Gradually the studio did get a name for being a good place to work. I'm Not in Love was written by band members Eric Stewart and Graham Gouldman. It is known for its innovative and distinctive backing track, composed mostly of the band's multi-tracked vocals. Released in the UK in May 1975 as the second single from the band's third album, the original.
That's Amazing Baby with a Laser. You recorded at Strawberry Studios. Amazing. Do you remember what it cost an hour back in the 90s? That was around the time, well, I was still playing then, but that's around the time I gave up playing, was in the mid late 90s when I stopped gigging. And yeah, I've done some recording, but not at Strawberry Studios. um, yeah, that must have been nice to know you were in the halls of Montezuma. Soundtrack. It became the second of the group's three #1 singles in the UK between 1973 and 1978, topping the UK singles chart for 2 weeks. The song was also the band's breakthrough hit worldwide, reaching #1 in Ireland and Canada and #2. I think that's I think that's Man United. I don't really remember one of the football teams. I think it's Man United. They did some song at Strawberry Studios. I think the song charted, some song by Man United or Man City. Pretty sure it's Man United. On the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, as well as reaching the top 10 in Australia, New Zealand, and several European countries. It was so expensive to record back then. So expensive. It's very strange. The recording industry these days is so strange. It's I just wish I had some of the gear that I had, all the microphones that I had back in the day, because microphones microphones haven't really changed. You still need good microphones, but it was Man City, was it? Uh, Funky City, was that the name of the song? Boys in Blue. Um, yeah, it was so expensive to record back then. So it was just impossible to record. Um, Few of my buddies did, vanity projects and went in and paid their own way. Uh, None of us got any record deals. Actually, a couple of my friends got record deals, and they did okay. Uh, Band called Great Big Sea. They did all right. Um, they weren't really close friends of mine. They were like a traditional folk music group, so we really didn't move in the same circles. But we were all friendly with each other. You have a digital 8 track, yeah. It's it's obsolete now. It still works obviously, and still great bit of kit. But have you looked at any of the computer stuff? It's just amazing. You can do as many tracks as you like. Like even GarageBand is all I have, but I mean, there's all kinds of great software out there. But yeah, I just wish I had the microphones. I've got these cheap ass little microphones. I had some really good microphones back in the day. That's, I still have a couple, but I didn't bring them with me. And I bought one of those Shure SM58 knockoffs there a little while ago, and that's a pretty good microphone. Um, but yeah, it's amazing how far recording has come. It's amazing what you can do with something as simple as GarageBand. Yeah, yeah, of course. It's amazing what can be done these days, and I don't really follow popular music. It doesn't do anything for me. Nothing I've heard made me take notice. The last thing I remember taking notice of was, um, yeah, there's all kinds of built-in sounds and songs and patterns and stuff. Yeah, it's amazing. Um, the last song I remember taking note of was that Cher song, the one Do you believe in love? Na, 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 with the auto tune on it. And it's like, oh, that's cool. That's somebody using technology. She actually used it rather than using it to correct her pitch. She used it as an instrument. And that was the last thing I ever noticed. Last thing I can remember noticing. I'm sure I've noticed something since then. That's back in the 90s, isn't it? Um, is it that long ago? It's not that long ago, is it? Do You Believe by Cher? Anyway, I'm sure there's good music out there. I'm just not hearing it. I don't, uh, I don't follow popular music these days. Don't listen to the radio. Not that it would be on the radio. It's just not how music works anymore. It's strange. It's all Spotify nowadays, and it's really changed. There's no more record deals, and uh, Noel Gallagher is 100% right when he says they were the last, because they were they were pretty much the last of that big uh, record contract guys that got in on the end of the record contract, and I'm sure Rush can have a record contract, but that's a different thing altogether, isn't it? Good day, world peace. How you doing? We're just about to sign off here. I don't think we're going to look at the carbon paper video today, um, but we'll go back and look at our Where Is It photo. And we should know where this Where Is It photo. You guys should recognize this by now. But we're going to have a story about this tomorrow. This mystery photo is the Where Is It for tomorrow. We're not in Greater Manchester, of course. And we've actually seen this photo before, or a photo of this place before. So that will be our video for tomorrow. Anyway, it's interesting, baby with a laser. Sailmore? No, it's not Sailmore. Could be, maybe in the future. Um, it's Sailmore. Uh, what was I going to say, Darren? Something about I've forgotten. Yes, I'd love to do that, Darren. Oxford Road Station? No, no. Um, so that's funny. Um, oh, what was I going to say? I've forgotten. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Well, thanks for coming by. And tomorrow we're going to have find out where this place is. So, only thing left to say now is see you in the next one.